This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. Purdue University, the Purdue Applied Research Institute, and the Purdue Research Foundation are setting up a permanent presence near Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane Division in Odin. Purdue President Mung Chiang says the move will enhance research in defense and semiconductors.
We said we got to do more, and we got to have a P3, permanent presence of Purdue, right here at Crane, because we cannot wait another day until we have the ability to be a true neighbor, a trusted partner, and a permanent presence right here.
The initial focus of Purdue's permanent presence at Crane will be secure and reliable microelectronics, which will be led by a research director that is yet to be named. The estimated annual budget for Purdue's team will begin at $2 million, but the university said that is expected to grow to $40 million of collaborative research in national security by 2030. Columbus-based Accelera by Cummins is forming a joint venture with 3 other companies with the goal of growing battery cell production in the United States. The partners plan to invest $2 to $3 billion to build a battery cell manufacturing plant at a location that has not yet been disclosed. Accelera is the zero-emissions business unit of Cummins. The other companies in the joint venture are Daimler Trucks North America in Oregon, Washington-based PACCAR, and EVE Energy in Ohio. Fort Wayne-based Sweetwater has named a new CEO. The company has promoted President Mike Clem to the role, succeeding John Hopkins, who is retiring after 30 years with the music retailer. Clem previously served as Chief Growth Officer and Chief Digital Officer at Sweetwater. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
For 25 years, we've had the honor of telling the story of Indiana business. More than 1,300 shows, 8,000 interviews. We've traveled from Valparaiso to Versailles, Fort Wayne to Fort Branch, and everywhere in between. And we are just getting started. Our team is passionate about Indiana business because your story is worth telling. Join us every week as we travel the state to bring you Indiana's story. Inside Indiana Business, 25 years and counting.
Indiana has lost more than 260 acres of wetlands in the last 2 years since a new state law took effect. IIB's Kate Sharon has more.
The law removed all state protections for Class 1 wetlands, which make up more than half of the state's remaining wetlands. Although considered to be less pristine, those wetlands still help reduce flooding and improve water quality. The policy also reduced the permit requirements for disturbing or filling other wetlands in Indiana. Now, more than a dozen Hoosier environmental groups are pointing to Indiana Department of Environmental Management data, which shows that 261 acres of Indiana wetlands have been destroyed since summer 2021. In that time, IDEM issued permits or determined a permit was not needed to build on nearly 350 acres of wetlands in the state. Only 85 of those acres required mitigation, meaning building would have to take place elsewhere. Indiana is home to more than 800,000 acres of wetlands, equal to about 3.5% of the state's geography. Environmental advocates emphasize in a new report that the lost wetlands could store up to 390 million gallons of water. Without them, those areas are now more susceptible to flooding. Kate Sharon, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
A late August acquisition has added some extra products to Fort Wayne-based Summit Brands line of environmentally friendly specialty cleaning products. Summit has purchased Pummie, also known as United States Pumice Company, which produces products used by both custodians and people at home to scrub tough buildup. Summit Brands declined to disclose the purchase price for the acquisition, as well as if any jobs would be affected by the deal or how many employees each company has. Third-generation Pummie owner Elizabeth Anderson said her company has grown to be a trusted brand over 75 years, and the decision to sell to Summit is one that aligns with the brand's goals, mentioning how Summit is also family-owned. After years of discussion, planning, and construction, the project to reduce commute times across Northwest Indiana into Chicago has reached a major milestone. The South Shore Line ran its first train on new track last month and expects to return commercial train travel to a 14-mile stretch of track as early as the end of this month. South Shore Line President Mike Noland.
I'm looking forward to start of double track service in May of 24. A lot of exciting things going on this railroad. The investment we're making is going to pay off and it's going to pay dividends for decades.
The developments signal a significant step in the $649 million effort to run a second line of train track nearly 17 miles between Gary and Michigan City, reducing commute times to Chicago by about 20 minutes. Cook Group President Pete Yonkman is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.